In this video, we're going to cover 4 common retirement spending mistakes and how to avoid them. Now, retirement spending is the biggest factor in a retirement plan. It's bigger than taxes, bigger than investment returns, bigger than inflation rates. Your spending level in retirement is the biggest factor to a successful retirement plan. When creating a retirement plan, there are 4 common retirement spending mistakes that we want to avoid. Now, the first mistake that we want to avoid is not planning different phases of retirement spending. Retirement spending doesn't typically remain flat throughout retirement. Retirement spending typically declines over time. If your plan includes flat retirement spending, you're probably planning to spend too much in late retirement, and you're probably spending not enough in early retirement. Rather than a flat level of retirement spending like this, we actually want to break retirement spending into multiple phases. We want to spend less in those later years. We want to plan to spend less in those later years, which allows us to spend more in those earlier years. We can shift retirement spending, planned retirement spending from later in retirement to early retirement when it's going to be more impactful. Now, this is commonly referred to as the go-go, slow-go, and no-go phases of retirement spending. So we might spend more in the go-go phase in early retirement. We might spend a little bit less in that slow-go phase in the middle of retirement. And then we might spend even less in that final phase, the no-go phase in late retirement. By planning 3 phases of retirement spending, we can front load more in that early go-go phase. Now, the second mistake when it comes to retirement spending is not doing a bottoms-up retirement budget. This is fairly common when we look at retirement plans from large banks and financial institutions. They just have a fairly generic retirement spending estimate. Maybe they assume something like $7,000 per month in retirement spending, but when you do a bottoms-up retirement budget, the actual number might be something like $7,430 per month. Now, that difference may not seem like a lot, but it is actually quite large when we break it down. So when we look at $430 a month, that's the mistake that we made in our retirement spending estimate by doing a high level versus a bottoms up. That translates into about $5,000 per year in missed retirement spending. That, when we look at an after-tax basis, is actually closer to about $7,400 pre-tax at a 30% marginal tax rate. So to create that $5,160 per year after tax, we need over $7,000 pre-tax. And when we look at that $7,000 pre-tax at a 4% safe withdrawal rate, that means $184,000 is what we would need in a registered account to support that extra little bit of retirement spending. So even though it seems like a small mistake, $430 a month, it actually means that we need $184,000 in additional registered assets to support that extra retirement spending. Now, this can go the other way as well. You could also overestimate your retirement spending by not doing a bottoms-up retirement budget. You could have estimated $7,000 in monthly retirement spending, but maybe it's closer to $6,500 or something like that. That means that you're actually over saving for retirement because you're assuming that you need an extra $180,000 to support that higher level of retirement spending. So when you do a retirement plan, you need to have a bottoms-up retirement budget because you need to know with fairly good certainty how much you want to spend after tax in retirement. The third mistake when it comes to retirement spending is not splitting fixed and discretionary spending. When it comes to retirement spending, we want to have a good idea of what is fixed and what is variable, what is fixed and what is discretionary. This is a very powerful tool, especially if we face a recession or a depression. We want to know within that retirement budget how and where we can cut back if we need to, if there's a large drop in portfolio value. Now, hopefully we never have to do this, but it's an extremely powerful psychological tool to know that in advance within your retirement plan. So if we have a budget of $7,430 per month in after-tax retirement spending, we might break that down using that bottoms-up budget into fixed of $5,330 per month and discretionary or variable spending of about $2,100 a month. Now, in that discretionary might be travel, hobbies, entertainment, maybe some restaurant spending, but knowing in advance that there's such a large amount of discretionary spending within this retirement budget gives us a lot more confidence when it comes to our retirement plan. We know, if we need to, where we could cut back on that retirement spending in a recession or a depression. Now, my name is Owen. I'm an advice-only financial planner and a CFP. And if you're enjoying the video so far, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button and the subscribe button, it really helps us reach more people through the YouTube algorithm. Now, the fourth retirement spending mistake is that you don't spend enough or you spend too much. When it comes to retirement planning, we want our retirement spending to adapt. It needs to adapt to investment returns and inflation rates. If you have good investment returns and reasonable inflation rates, we might be able to spend more in early retirement. So we want to adapt to those market conditions. Now, the same thing could happen if we have some poor investment returns or high inflation rates. We want to adapt with a decreased level of spending so that we don't run out of money in the future. A good retirement plan should have guardrails, retirement spending guardrails in place so that you know where your upper and lower guardrails are for retirement spending. So when investment returns are good and inflation rates are reasonable, you can go to that upper guardrail. You can spend a little bit more. But when there's a recession or a depression or maybe higher inflation rates, you can go to that lower guardrail because you know that it's a safe level of retirement spending. Now let's take a look at how you can set up those guardrails within your retirement plan. To set up some retirement spending guardrails within this retirement plan, we're going to look at the success rate down here on the right. We're also going to look at this plan funded ratio on the left here. Now, if you want to do this for your own retirement plan, you can go to advice.ca, click the For Clients button here, and you can start your own retirement plan for just $9 per month. So if you don't have a retirement plan in place, then definitely come here, click Start Planning, and get your retirement plan started. Now, if we go back to the planning here, what we want to do for our lower spending guardrail is we want to aim for a higher success rate, somewhere between 80 to 100%. Now, this depends on how much discretionary spending you have within your plan. If you have a lot of discretionary spending, you might only aim for an 80 or 90% success rate. If you don't have a lot of discretionary spending, not a lot of room to cut back, you might aim for a 90 or 100% success rate. In this case, it's super easy. We're just going to go down here and use the AI strategies. We're going to filter on the modify retirement spending strategies. These will automatically explore for us both a reduction and an increase in retirement spending. And as we can see here, we can reduce retirement spending by $3,000 to $6,000 per year and boost our retirement success rate to 86 to 100%. So let's set a very reasonable lower spending guardrail by enabling this $6,000 spending reduction. So when I recalculate this, we're going to see this go up to 100% success rate. Now their spending right now is about $80,000 per year in early retirement. So we're not making a very big change here. That's one of the great things about having these guardrails in place is really the reduction in spending you need to make your plan more successful is sometimes fairly small. So let's recalculate here. We're going to see the platform reduce that retirement spending. We're down to about $74,000 a year. But if we look at success rate, now we're at 100%. So now we know even during the worst historical periods of the last 100 plus years, we're not going to run out of money as long as we're spending, in this case, about $74,000 a year. Now this is different for everybody's retirement plan, but it creates a great lower spending guardrail in this case. Now that's a good lower spending guardrail, $74,000 a year, but what about an upper spending guardrail? Well, here we can see that at this lower spending guardrail, our plan funded ratio is extremely high. We can more than meet the spending needs within this plan. In fact, we're about 57% higher than what we need just to meet that core spending in retirement. So let's go up a little bit. Let's go and increase our lifetime spending. Instead of looking at a reduced spending strategy, we're going to look at an increased spending strategy. And there's probably some different ones here that we could look at, but first actually let's remove that old spending strategy. Let's get back to the original 77% success rate. Let's re-rank by lifetime spending here. The AI strategies are doing their thing. But really what we're looking for is not 133%, something lower, closer to 100%. So just like on the success rate side, we were aiming for maybe 90 or 100% success rate for our lower spending guardrail. For our upper spending guardrail, we just want a plan funded ratio of close to 100%. A little bit higher than 100%, not below, but about 100% or a little bit more. So let's take a look here and see what spending strategies we can employ. And it looks like we could maybe not increase spending by $18,000 a year in early retirement, but certainly $12,000 a year. That brings us to a 51% success rate. So let's take a look at that one and see what our plan funded ratio looks like. Now we're at 100%, 109% plan funded. So now our upper spending guardrail in early retirement is going to be $92,000 a year. So we've got a lower spending guardrail of about $74,000 a year and an upper spending guardrail that's $18,000 higher at $92,000 a year. Now we can't do this all the time. There are definitely some periods that run out of money, but half the time, as long as we get average investment returns or better, we can spend that higher level of $91,000 a year and still have a plan funded ratio over 100%. So if you're using the advice platform, you can create your own retirement spending guardrails. For the lower guardrail, you're going to look at the success rate. You want to get to 90 or 100%. And then you want to, for your upper spending guardrail, look at your plan funded ratio. You want to look at something that's just over 100% plan funded, and you can use the AI spending strategies to help you do that extremely quickly. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you at the next one.